All right, thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Nation newspaper. The major story here says, Tinubu reassigns Oyetola to Marine, Momo to Niger Delta, Alkali Tunji Ojo, Lokbobiri Ekpo affected in minor shake-up, Abuja agog for ministers' induction. You find all the details on the front page of the Nation newspaper. To the Nigerian News Direct, ahead of ministerial inauguration today, Tinubu makes last-minute alterations, announces new minister-designate for Niger Delta, redeploys Oyetola to Marine and Blue Economy, Tunji Ojo to Interior, clarifies role of oil and gas ministers, and ministers-designate conclude documentation. Details on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. And to the Leadership newspaper now, ahead inauguration, Tinubu makes changes, reassigns Oyetola, Tunji Ojo, Momo, others. Ahead of inauguration, Tinubu makes changes, reassigns Oyetola, Tunji Ojo, Momo, others. You find the details on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. And to the front page of the Business Day, Edu Party, 7 others to define Tinubu's presidency. Edu Party, 7 others to define Tinubu's presidency. Details on the front page of the Business Day. To the blueprint now, as Tinubu rejects portfolio 12 hours to inauguration, Nigerians list expectations from ministers. Momo heads Niger Delta Ministry, Oyetola Marine and Blue Economy. Citizens want security, agriculture, education, health as top priority. Want Wike to complete Akbo Kashi Road, Taskumahi on federal roads. Tell Tinubu not to pamper ministers like Buhari. That's some of the things Nigerians are asking. Malagi must put NOA to right use. That's the orientation agency. Malagi must put NOA to right use. Details on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. To the Punch newspaper now, federal government prioritizes economy, security as ministers take oath today. President's 8-point agenda to guide appointees, ministers complete documentation at Secretary to the Government of the Federation's office. Tinubu renames Environment Ministry, appoints Niger Delta Minister, reassigns Oyetola, others. All the details on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Now to the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu reshuffles ministers' portfolio as government takes shape. Tinubu reshuffles ministers' portfolios as government takes shape. You find the details on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Ibrahim.
Right, Daily Sun is the first newspaper with me here. It says Abuja agog as ministers take oath of office. Abuja agog as ministers take oath of office. The Abuja Inquirer is the next. FCT natives, residents set agenda for Wike. FCT natives, residents set agenda for Nyesom Wike. That's the Abuja Inquirer. Next is the national economy. Tough task ahead for Tinubu's economic team. Tough task ahead for Tinubu's economic team. And the rider reads, job of tackling inflation, exchange rate stability, unemployment, others enormous. That's according to the experts showing their concerns there. This Nigeria is next. State of fear. 23 local government areas battling insecurity in Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi. That's according to survey. And residents of affected areas have either been forced to migrate, enter into agreements with criminals, or live life of uncertainty. That's this Nigeria talking about the state of fear happening in 23 local government areas in Nigeria. Now, the Daily Times, anger in Niger Delta over Aso Rock. Aso Rock top shots meddling in the NDDC. Anger in the Niger Delta over Aso Rock top shots meddling in NDDC. Now, the Daily Times. The Guardian newspaper is next. Niger coup and economic sanctions. 7 states in dire straits. Economic losses over border closure. That's the banner headline there. 7 states in dire straits, economic losses over border closure. That's the Guardian newspaper. First News is next. Niger, that's the kicker. And the headline reads, ECOWAS rejects junta's transition plan as coupists vow to resist attacks. And the riders read, regional body says 3-year handover plan smokescreen for dialogue, diplomacy. And as pro-junta rally hits Niamey on Sunday. Daily Trust is next. ECOWAS rejects Niger junta's 3-year transition plan. Pro-coup protesters warn ECOWAS against military action. And then Pope calls for peace in Niger Republic. Vanguard newspaper is still talking about the Niger coup, saying ECOWAS rejects junta's 3-year transition plan. Junta warns against foreign intervention, and talks between ECOWAS junta yield little result. That's the official talking there. Nature News is next. President Tinubu moves to harness Nigeria's gas resources, establishes presidential compressed natural gas initiative, and pledges to establish partnerships for skill development for youths. And last but not the least is a Daily Independent, which has as its headline, inflation pushing lower naira denominations into extinction. Inflation pushing lower naira denominations into extinction. That's the Daily Independent there, Veronica.
All right. The papers this morning are awash with the inauguration of the ministers designate that will be happening later today, this morning at about 10 a.m. as it was reported. But then there's also the matter of the coup in Niger, conversations with ECOWAS, the military junta, and all of it. They proposed that they were going to hand over to a democratically elected government after 3 years. And ECOWAS delegation, led by General Abdulsalami Abubakar, retired, had conversation with General Abdurrahmani Chiani, who at the end of the day is reported as saying that ECOWAS rejected it, the proposal, the 3-year proposal, and Chiani also is saying that they are aware, let me just quote him, getting ready to attack Niger by setting up an occupying army in collaboration with a foreign army without saying which country he met. And the coup leader, however, warned that the military and people of Niger would defend the country should ECOWAS go ahead with its invasion plan. Now, ECOWAS had said that there would be a military invasion because there's a standby force already if diplomacy fails. And with this conversation they have had, yielding little or no result, at the end of the day, the military junta is saying that they are prepared. And ECOWAS standby force has said that they will have a date to invade Niger. But there's been concerns about this matter of invasion, even though the ECOWAS standby force has said that it is not war, that they are just going there to restore, constitutional order. They were not coming in to cause any chaos or any war as people are being, touted or speculating, but just to restore constitutional order. And we see, states and even the people showing support for the military junta. If you read reports, the people there are showing support for the military junta. They came out en masse yesterday protesting this issue of there shouldn't be war and their support for the military junta. Yes, ECOWAS met with the deposed president, Bazoum. The conversation was not let out. But for whatever it is, the concern for people is how ECOWAS will be able to restore constitutional order without any form of war or friction as it is.
Well, it's something that's, it's like a catch-22 for ECOWAS itself, because what I think when I heard about the 3-year transition plan, they, I felt this not going to be accepted, because it's like saying what about a year? What about 2 years? But I feel it's more like negotiating position, because they can't just say, give us a year. Then ECOWAS will start bargaining 6 months or 3 months, or, so let's say a year. Okay, fine, we can't do a year. Let's do 2 years. So it's more like negotiating, position for them.
But we didn't get information that ECOWAS put forward any any position before the military junta. The military junta said, this is 3 years. Well, perhaps the delegation will return to ECOWAS to say, this is what they are saying. What can we do? Still, and
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said it's more like a negotiating position. But then, it's quite interesting where we have the ECOWAS also having this, French and American military, because they were on ground when the coup actually took place, and they couldn't do anything. So we're still having talks with them. And they have, America, for instance, who are saying, oh, this is bad, we can't continue with this coup, we can't have coup, in this era of democracy. They have instead now have, what do we call, ambassador, because it's more about interest. They say the ambassador is just there to have to have conversation and all of that. So I'm thinking, it's a catch-22 for ECOWAS. It's very much important for them to sit down and talk about it, because if they are saying the last option on the table is the fact that we are going to invade. I don't want to use the word invade. We are going to restore constitutional order in Niger, but they have to think about the entry strategy and the exit strategy, because we see what is happening in Russia and Ukraine war. Russia felt, I will just go into Ukraine, that small country, I'll deal with them and do what I want to do, and I'll be back. 2 years down the line, we are still talking about it. So they need to think about it. They need to talk about the exit strategy and the entry, strategy. So all of this all together, we saw people who were also on the street, just like you said, giving, showing their solidarity for the junta. But it's very simple to say. If you look at some things, it may not be. It's very easy to gather people, just to show, for the optics that, yes, they're in support of us. We've seen vox pop of people who are saying, this is not. And when it's a military era, you can't just go outside and say anything.
Absolutely.
So anyone who is going to be facing camera and you're standing on that soil, you can't condemn it. Otherwise, nobody will say, you just see that you've disappeared, so to speak. I wouldn't want to buy the idea, the narrative that people are so much in support, because it's very easy to gather them and get them to say what they want to say on camera. So in all, ECOWAS and Niger should find a meeting point, a rallying point. What exactly do you think we should do? Because this day and age, we can't be talking about military intervention. Military incursion is what has got Africa to where we are today. Over the years, we have coup in Niger, we have coup in Mali, we have coup in Burkina Faso. Nigeria also has had its own fair share. It's just until recently we are having semblance of democracy. So we are where we are because of the military incursions that we've had over the years. So it's best that ECOWAS think of it. If the last option for us is for us to, restore constitutional order by sending our might, then they have to think about it very, very well. Because now we see that 7 states are in dire straits, of economic losses and border closure. We are also hurting ourselves, because Niger to Nigeria, all of these borders, the consanguinity is there. The fact that they come into Nigeria, we also go there. We do trades, we do trades, we sell our goods and give our services. We'll have Nigerian borders, people who are living around there, even within some other parts of the country, who are also suffering, from this sanctions. Sanction works, military action too also work, but they need to think about it very deeply. It's not something that we just have to rush into and say, no, we are restoring constitutional order, because we have to also talk about the fact that they are also states, and they are sovereign states. So the fact, regardless of the government goes and comes. So if we say we want to invade it, we should know that Niger also has its own, sovereignty. Another country cannot just invade it and say we want to restore constitutional order. So it has to be, let's come back to the table and talk about it. And that's what I think.
Very important, because recall that initially the military junta were not they did not open their doors to having this conversation. So my concern is ECOWAS making good use of this opportunity to dialogue with the military junta and see how they can restore constitutional order. Because the attendant impact on the countries, the people with this military invasion, if it's the last resort as it is not something one can talk about, basically, because we already have some level of talking about displaced persons already. Some from Nigeria are in Niger. And we know the role Niger played when it comes to the matter of insecurity with regards to the northeast. Right now, Nigeria, or rather ECOWAS, has to look into how they can manage this whole situation. Beyond economy, it's the attendant impact on the people. Displaced persons, how do we have the capacity to manage them across both countries and even other countries, so to speak? So the important thing is how best ECOWAS can look at restoring constitutional order without invasion. That's what even the Pope is calling for. That's what most governors of the states of the Northeast have spoken about. They even went ahead as saying that war with Niger is war against those northern states because of, you know, how closely knit we are with Niger as it is. So it's a lot of task for the chair of ECOWAS.
But I just feel three-year transition is it's just
perhaps
it doesn't make sense.
But that decision is left to ECOWAS to decide if they are going to give the military junta a period of time to look into restoring constitutional order and who should come in, because there's been question as should Bazoum be restored or not. But as it is,
if any president is ousted, it doesn't. I've never seen that in history.
It's not looking like
it's going to come back.
Restored as it is, and perhaps that's the conversation that the ECOWAS delegation went to have with him, because that's what the West is asking, that he be restored. But then perhaps he's been told, you know what, just let it go as it is right now, and we are trying to see how best we can play the cards right so as to have some level of sanity in the country.
I don't understand.
War is not necessary within the region at this point.
Yeah, Veronica, I'm not sure how you see it. I want to, you are the, you head the presidential brigade. You are meant to also protect the president. And because you heard that you are going to be changed, you're going to be removed, then you institute a coup. I mean, you brought a coup to oust the incumbent president.
Right.
Because what is on the ground is that even if he thinks that I will do what I will do and then I will get away with it, this country, I mean, this world is so small that there is no way he can, so he has to also tread, General Abdurrahman Chiani has to also tread carefully.
There are reports of divisions even within the presidential guard. Already, there are reports of division. So everybody, it's about interest.
Yeah, because there will be coup and counter coup, etc.
So we have to leave the conversation here.